Thank you for tuning in to today's edition of Devotions with Brother Aaron. I encourage you to stay with us for the next 5 to 8 minutes or so as we use this devotional format to find encouragement in the Lord for the day that we face. Let me quickly ask you to join us on our social media outlets. Facebook, go to Fresh Fire Ministries, Hogansville, Georgia. Click the follow button there. YouTube is Fresh Fire Ministries with Aaron McCullough. Click the subscribe button there. And then X is Fresh Fire Georgia, and you can like us there. All right, today's devotion is entitled The Power of Saying No. Saying no is one of the most liberating things an individual learns to do. Simultaneously, saying no is one of the most challenging things an individual learns to do. Today, I want to talk about a woman in the Bible who had the intestinal fortitude to say no and the blessings it caused for others. For all the years I have been preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, I wouldn't dare to guess as to how many sermons I have preached from the Book of Ruth or how many times I have quoted Ruth's soliloquy to Naomi as part of a wedding ceremony I was performing. You know, the entreat me not to leave thee part. I'm sure both are more than I care to remember. But there's one thing of which I am certain. Until recently, I never viewed Naomi's daughter-in-law, Orpah, as a main player in the story. In my mind, she was just a daughter-in-law who deserted Naomi and Ruth and returned to her people and her gods. I did not think that this was significant. However, I've changed my mind. And furthermore, I believe there's a valuable lesson for us to learn from her actions. As we review the narrative of the Book of Ruth, we know that Naomi and her husband left Judah during a famine and traveled to Moab. While there, her 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, their names are literally interpreted to mean puny and sickly, married Moabite women named Ruth and Orpah. While in Moab, Naomi's husband and 2 sons die. Naomi then decides to go home to Judah. And as she starts her journey, her 2 grief-stricken daughters-in-law both pledge that they are going with her. Naomi then does something that is often overlooked. She begins to tell her daughters-in-law just how hard a life they would be forced to live if they went with her. She then encouraged them to return to their mothers and their gods. Literally, she made a strong appeal for them not to go with her. Now, at this point in the story, we usually shift our focus to Ruth and the great commitment she made to go with Naomi. However, I submit to you today that 2 great momentous decisions were made that day. Naturally, Ruth's was one. However, I believe that Orpah's was just as great. Here's my point. After initially stating she was going, Naomi, in a no-holds-barred sort of way, presented the truth to her about what she was agreeing to do. At this point, Orpah weighs all the evidence and changes her mind. In essence, she told Naomi that this was not for her. She could not commit herself to it. Consequently, she did the bravest, smartest thing she could do. She said no. And it was a decision that would change history as we know it. Play make-believe with me for a moment, and let's pretend Orpah decided to go with Naomi. First, it wasn't in her heart to go, so she would have been mumbling and grumbling the whole way. She probably would have quarreled with Naomi and Ruth. She would have disrupted everything. She would have been just another mouth to feed. And just what if she and Ruth both went to Boaz's fields and he liked her better than Ruth? He would have legally been the kinsman redeemer for both, so this could have happened. Then Ruth would not have been in the lineage of Jesus. So you see, her decision to say no was just as significant as Ruth's decision to say yes. Ponder on that. Naomi did a very wise thing when she blessed her daughters-in-law to say no. I think that we would be wise to learn a lesson here. If you can talk somebody out of doing something by presenting the facts to them, then they weren't really on board to begin with. We need to bless people to say no. Oh, wow, what a novel concept. We need to bless people to say no. How many times have I been guilty of accepting somebody's first answer without really presenting the unadulterated truth to them? And how many times have I suffered the consequences of doing so? How many times have I personally said yes when I should have said no? No, it's a powerful little word with significant ramifications. I think all of us should become better versed at saying it and meaning it. Just consider the grief we would save ourselves if we would. Volumes could be written about Orpah and the life she supposedly lived afterwards. But be that as it may, at the critical moment, she weighed the evidence presented to her and made the courageous and correct decision. She said no when she should have said it, and she stuck with her decision. God, please give us people like that today. Make me like that. Seems I remember Jesus saying something about letting your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Hey, I'm just saying. I close today's devotion on a lighter note. Throughout my pastoral ministry, I've heard ladies grumble about something their husbands did or did not do. I jokingly ask them, "Didn't he ask you to marry him?" They reply, "Well, sure he did." I then tell them, "Then it's on you. He may have asked, but you could have said no, but you said yes." I close with two thoughts. Number one, no is one of the most powerful words in the English language. Number two, no is a complete sentence. Lord, I believe somebody here in this devotion today needs to be reminded of the power you gave us to say no. Whether it's somebody being pressured by their peers to do something displeasing to you, or the devil whispering in our ear to give up and quit. God, help us to learn to say no and mean it. When Satan tempted you in the wilderness, in essence, every answer you gave him centered on one word: no. Thank you for modeling this before us. Again, God, teach us to say no and mean it when no is the correct answer. And I ask this in your name. Amen.